Hello there everybody, thank you for joining me for another wonderful video. Today I want to talk to you about what I would like to see from the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Now I'm fully aware that .emu and Tribute Games revealed TMNT Shredder's Revenge about 3-4 days ago, which looks really good by the way. If you haven't watched the trailer, go and watch it. But it's more of a retro styling of TMNT game, a la the ones that I used to play in the arcade with my cousins, which is sick. You know, I'm down for that. But I'm more talking towards what I really want to see in a potential AAA version of the TMNT. You know, give it to Rocksteady, give it to anybody that wants to try it. To be honest, I'm just going to run you through a couple of points that I've wrote down. Now, at the moment, I've only wrote down literally words, hoping that the brain expands on it whilst it's using the lips to communicate. I'm going to hope for the best. We're all going to hope for the best. Now, these points, you can clearly see I'm going to be pulling from different games. Anybody that's played games, especially comic book games, will know exactly the two games that I'm pretty much going to be pulling from anyway. So let's just dive into the crack of it and let's see my thoughts. I know my thoughts. Let me allow you to see these thoughts, and I want your thoughts and what you think of my thoughts. Okay, let's go. So first of all, the location. It's got to be New York. Has to be. I mean, in the first game at least anyway. There's me saying as if it's going to be a huge franchise hit, but I think the location needs to be New York, and it could potentially be open world. I don't see any problem with it being open world because you've got the turtle van, which, you know, most places call it the party wagon, but you can get around in the party wagon in the same vein that Batman in Arkham Knight summons the Batmobile. So you just summon it, it turns up, you jump in, cool. But then you also got the interesting part of, you could kind of put a little bit of parkour in there, because they're ninja, they've got all these skills. They can vault over things, flip, jump, all this other stuff. Maybe introduce a grappling hook to get around if you don't want to get around with the van or the bike or whatever they could potentially put in there. Easy peasy. That would be brilliant. But then I can already hear the cries of, well, what's the point in having an open world when there's nothing in there to do? So I'm more thinking of exactly what Spider-Man did, a mixture of Spider-Man and what Batman Arkham Knight did. Batman Arkham Knight had baddies just running around randomly. You know, you'd hear somebody shouting, "Oh, help me!" Or Spider-Man, where you had the HUD alert you that something was going on. You had the police scanner. Surely in the turtle van, there's a police scanner. There's something that can scan for enemies or scan for things that are happening around you. You know, you go and do that as a little side quest. That's not the only thing you could do. I mean, you could pull from Spider-Man 2 with the pizza delivery system. Make pizza delivery a thing on that. That would be pretty cool. I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of games that have already explored these territories. Why aren't we pulling from them? Why aren't we taking like, oh my god, this franchise would be perfect for this. So that's what I think about the location. The second point that I wrote down is combat. Now, I don't know if you've personally played a lot of the Turtles games the past, let's say 10, 12 years. A lot of the combat is button mashing, just kind of like a Dynasty Warriors game, where it's just slash slash slash, jump jump jump. Maybe you'll have a dodge button, maybe, if you're lucky. The best example I can think of it was, I think it released in 2013, Out of the Shadows. PS3 and Xbox 360 it launched on. It's not the smoothest game. The Turtles had a weirder design, which most people that I've seen talking about it didn't enjoy the design of them. You know, you get over it. I got over the newest movie's design. I enjoyed the design. Now it's different. They've got to keep things fresh. I get it. But, you know, the beauty of that game was they had a combat system in there that was kind of like the Batman combat system. I assume it's going to be called free flow combat or something like that. it wasn't as smooth as I said. It worked. It really did work, but maybe, you know, with a bit more time and a bit more funding, a developer could really make that shine just as much as Batman does, and even Spider-Man does it. So it's not like you can't use these systems. They're not been trademarked. Nobody's got their hands on it, just like the Nemesis system. Naming no names. But there's no reason why somebody shouldn't be able to pull from these games and go, this works, this works, this works. Now next, I would say upgrades. Have a little bit of an RPG element to it. So, I mean, it doesn't even have to be deep. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, confusing, or, you know, you look at it and you think, man, I really can't be bothered to do this. It doesn't need to be anything like that. It can just be, you know, you upgrade your gadgets, you upgrade your weapons, you get new move sets. I think the upgrades as well shouldn't stop with just the characters. It should be, you can upgrade your van, just like Mad Max allowed you to in the video game that you probably didn't play. That was a cool concept. It kept you looking for new parts, looking for upgrades. We are different humans, different ideals, different beliefs, hopefully different haircuts, I don't know. You should be able to come to me in the street, any point, and just go, my van's better than your van. My van is the best van that I've ever seen. And then I can respond to you and just be like, listen friend, I get it. I get where you're coming from. But my van is the best van. And that sort of adds to the replayability of it, because you want the best van. I want this colour van. I want these wheels. All this other stuff. The possibilities are endless. These sort of things that build the game and make it a lot more meatier. It makes it more fun to play because you're working towards getting those upgrades. You're working towards being a badass, basically. The next point I wanted to bring up is, it's kind of a luxury point, but I still think it's quite important. Skins. When you play the best one that's done it so far, Spider-Man 2018, you think of a skin for Spider-Man, minus the Venom suit. Think of any skin for Spider-Man, and it's more than likely in there. And that's the brilliance of it. It's 1 minute I'm swinging around as Tom Holland Spider-Man, then I'm Tobey Maguire. Now, most recently, they added Andrew Garfield in, and it's that sort of homage to the history of Spider-Man. They could do exactly the same for Turtles. Can you imagine having a skin for the 87 cartoon, a skin for the original 84 comic, you know, black and white, nice edgy sort of cool looking skin, a skin for the 2003 series, 2012, the movies, especially the very first live action movies. I think those sort of skins people would really resonate with. People would be like, man, look at this skin, as long as it's done well. You know, people respond very well to things when it looks good, but when it looks bad, people really tend to let people know. Now, another point that I've wrote down is soundtrack, because I think I have the same issue with a lot of movies. Soundtracks are really important to keeping you invested, in terms of when you want to be invested in a cutscene, the soundtrack holds you. You know, if it's got a soundtrack that doesn't fit the mood, it doesn't hit home quite as hard. Spider-Man 2018 had that sort of soundtrack where you're swinging around chasing, for instance, Scorpion, or let's say Shocker, because you actually do chase Shocker. The music gets you pumped. I had goosebumps for most of the game because that music, man, that music is brilliant. It does exactly what it needs to do. And even when there's emotional moments and there's little twinklings of the main theme where it's like a piano and it's softer played, it's those sort of moments that create such a powerful game, to me especially. You know, the films do it as well. You think of Avengers, can you imagine Endgame running with a different soundtrack? Especially with the portal scene, with, you know, it can totally change how you respond to a certain scene, and I think a good soundtrack for the Turtles would elevate the game, essentially. And that's really it. That's my 5 points that I wanted to talk about. I think that somebody could really make a good Turtles game. Everyone's too afraid to do it though. As I said, Out of the Shadows tried. Yeah, it's a little bit rough, but you can see past the roughness when you play, you know, the interactions between the turtles. That's just as important, and I think the developer of that really got it well. I think it was Red Fly Studio. They did really well with the casting of the turtles. They did really well with the script. The story as well isn't bad at all. I mean, it's a Turtles game. If you're coming to a Turtles game about 4 mutated turtles and you're looking for a grounded story that's, I don't believe that can't happen. Come on, it's Turtles. All you want is ninjas, fighting, family, cool cars or bikes or whatever, pizzas, funny little things. That's what you're here for. I just wish that somebody would pick up all these ideas, because they are literally out there. They are out in the stratosphere. Just take them, put them together, make something beautiful. Because let's be honest, before Batman Arkham Asylum, you think about video games from comic books, they weren't that great. There were some good ones, and even in my youth, I would defend the original Fantastic Four ones, and I mean, Spider-Man 2 is held very high, but if you go back and play that now, time has not been kind to it. And I think that the resurgence in the franchise could happen because video games are just so big right now. They're huge. Make a Turtles game, knock it out of the park, get this franchise back to where it should be, back where it was in the 90s. I mean, a less supported opinion would be put them in Fortnite. Fortnite's massive. Fortnite is absolutely massive. Fortnite is full of all these crossovers. You know, G.I. Joe, Marvel, DC, Master Chief, God of War, Aliens, Predator. All these crazy things that are showing the world that, oh, kids, you've never seen this. I mean, I wouldn't advise they watch Predator and Aliens. Those decisions didn't make sense to me. But, oh, Master Chief. And kids are like, who's Master Chief? He looks pretty cool. Then they go and discover Halo. And it's that sort of discovery that I think needs to happen with Turtles. It needs that sort of push. You know, hand in hand. Put the Turtles in Fortnite just before the new game comes out. Whether that is this one from .emu and Tribute Games, or hopefully the AAA that somebody picks up and makes. I don't know. I've had these thoughts in my head for a long time, and I just wanted to throw them out into the garbage of the internet, and hope that people agree with me that this is a viable way of making a Turtles game. And that's it. I appreciate listening to my ramblings. Let me know your thoughts on how you would like to see a AAA Turtles game, what you'd like to see in it, maybe, or maybe you just agree with what I said. Let me know either way. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Oh, and let's not forget, keep those asses washed.